This is the 1-hour COVID-19 test. First, you take this really simple to use swab from Oragene and swab the back of your throat. When you take the swab out of the package, make sure that you don't touch it with your fingers. Now you turn the cap around and put the swab in the stabilization buffer and shake it. Next, you take 100 microliters of that out and put it into a microfuge tube. This is the sample that you're going to work with. Now you take 2 reagents from the Prep-It IT kit. Now you take 2 reagents from the Prep-It kit. First, AG. You're going to use 10 microliters of that and add it to your sample. This is a commercially available kit that normally is used for DNA. No one has ever used it for RNA analysis before. And we'll provide vials of each of those 2 reagents in the kit. Next, you're going to take the second Prep-It reagent, ST, and add 20 microliters of that. Pipette it up and down 12 times to make sure it's well mixed. You'll see it start to turn cloudy already. And then just put it back in your rack at room temperature and wait 15 minutes. During this time, make sure that your water bath, sous vide cooker, heat block, whatever you're using for 68 Celsius is on. As you can see, the solution gets cloudy, and the RNA is actually concentrated at the top of the tube. We'll also provide you with a tube of nuclease-free water to dilute this. Now, it's very important when you take 30 microliters off of your sample tube there, you just want to make sure the pipette tip is at the top of the liquid, because that's where the RNA will be. Add it to the water, and now you have your 1:10 dilution. That's going to go straight into your PCR tubes. In the kit, you'll get pre-prepared PCR tubes. We will label them, both the sample and the control, because each test you have a one PCR tube that will have the primers that are specific for COVID, and you'll have another tube that will be primer specific for a gene that you should find in human samples. That's just a control to make sure that you actually processed your samples properly. You'll add 1 microliter from your diluted sample into each of the tubes, one for the COVID test and one for the COVID test control. Close them up tightly because you don't want them coming open in the hot environment of the water bath. And we like to use this sous vide cooker, and we can float the tubes right on top of a plastic tube rack. Let them incubate for 30 minutes. Now the whole thing takes less than an hour. And at the end of 30 minutes, take a look at the tubes. The control should always be yellow to make sure you actually got a human sample. And the COVID test tube will be pink if the test is negative and yellow if the test is positive. Very easy to see by eye.